Hey, herzlich willkommen zum Arise Bibel Podcast. Heute mit einer speziellen Ausgabe. Wir haben Eitan Halley zu Gast und dürfen ihn interviewen. Er ist derzeit als Sprecher in Deutschland unterwegs und heute zu Gast beim Arise Bibel Podcast. Eitan, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to Germany and for having this podcast with us. So, my first question is, who are you? Would you tell us about yourself a little bit?
Well, it's an honor being here. I'm very excited. You can't see, but I'm shaking a little bit on the inside. And to answer who I am, you're gonna have to ask more questions because that's a very broad question. Yeah.
Yes.
But I can tell you that I live in Tel Aviv. I'm traveling all over the world at the moment, telling my story to as many people as I can and to whoever wants to hear it. I'm a survivor of the Nova Festival on October 7th, 2023. And I'm very lucky to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So, where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Burlington, Vermont. I lived there till the age of 3, and then I moved to Rochester, New York. And when I got to the age of 7, my parents decided they were going to move to Israel and make Aliyah. Now, my parents, both of them met in Israel. My mother made Aliyah with her family when she was 14, and my father came from the U.S. to join the military. And they met while he was in Israel, got married, and moved back to the U.S.
Okay, wow, interesting.
Yeah.
So, what brought them to make Aliyah later? No, not Aliyah later, but what brought them to move to Israel later with you?
So they went back to the U.S. and searched for a better life, for more opportunities. But I think as the time went by, they realized that there's simply no place like home. And Israel is the Holy Land, and they felt like it was their responsibility to go and live there.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have been 7 years old, right?
Yeah, I was 7 years old.
7 years old.
Yeah.
How was it for you, like making the experience to be in the US until you were 7, and then like going to school, I guess, in Israel?
Traumatic. Yeah. Israeli kids are extremely, they're very mean.
Oh, really?
They like to laugh at accents in general,
Okay.
especially as kids. So I think it was for the first year when I arrived, I think at least for the first 3-4 months, I didn't speak at all. I didn't even try to speak any Hebrew. And then when I finally did, they of course laughed a little bit. And it wasn't easy at the beginning, but after a while, Israel also started to feel like home.
Oh,
And it was much better. It was better the second I started speaking the language fluently, and I was able to hide my accent. Then everything started to work out.
good. I'm glad. So you went to university in Israel, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I studied at Ben Gurion University. That's in the southern region of Israel, in Beersheba. The beauty about it is that the city, Beersheba, it's not the best city, but there's a whole area just where students live, or mostly students, and you find yourself living in a building where everyone else is also in the university. So if there's a house party all of a sudden in one of the apartments, you just go up and you join them, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes. So, and after studying, like, did you join the army, or?
So in Israel, you join the military after high school. So I was drafted to Kfir Brigade, which is a unit that specializes in counterterrorism and urban warfare.
Okay.
And in the spring of 2014, Operation Brother's Keeper began when Hamas terrorists kidnapped 3 teenagers hitchhiking home from school. And this set off a crazy event in all of Israel, in the military. everyone was searching for these boys for a good couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this point, I was already done with basic and advanced training, and I was in commander's course, a course that was supposed to certify me to lead a group of soldiers of my own. And what happened was that they found the boys and they were murdered.
Mm.
And this chain of events set off Operation Protective Edge. Our mission was to go into Gaza to locate and destroy Hamas terror tunnels that went underground from Gaza into Israel. They went from random houses inside Gaza into kibbutzim, and it was scary. It was scary. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I went in with my with the commander's course. We were like a unit at that time. We went into Gaza, and that was my first introduction to war.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So you finished the army, went to university.
Yeah.
And what happened afterwards, like after the university?
So prior October 7th, I was still in university. I was I actually just finished last year. I wasn't the best student in high school. Not even a little bit. Yeah, I think I was in like 4 different high schools because they kept on kicking me out. Yeah. So I had to do a pre-engineering year.
Okay.
So I went down to Beersheba, did it at Ben Gurion University, and then the engineering program's 4 years. So it took me a while to finish my degree. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So today you live in Israel, right? So where do you live in Israel?
Yeah. Today I live in Israel. I live in Tel Aviv, about 3 minutes away from the beach. You should come. You would love it.
Yes.
It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I get, if it's a day to go to the beach, I just walk down in my bathing suit, go, and it's great.
Do you live in Israel by your own, or are your parents still there?
My parents still live in Israel. They live in Karnei Shomron. That's a settlement, and it's the second biggest settlement in Judea and Samaria, if I'm not mistaken. And it's in the middle of nowhere. It's about 40 minutes or 45 minutes away from Tel Aviv.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, Eitan, how is your life looking besides, or how did your life look besides studying or going to university? Like.
So I was pretty much just a basic college student. I think I just finished my 3rd or 4th year of my bachelor's degree in industrial engineering. I was working at a local bar. I was looking for a job. I was exploring high-tech opportunities, but I didn't really find anything that interested me or suited me. So in the meantime, I was just working at a local bar and just looking for a job and just enjoying life, just having a very good time, not doing too much, but really laying back and relaxed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for giving us a little impression about your life.
Of course.
Eitan, a question I do have is about you survived Nova's festival, right? You were just mentioning in the beginning, and could you tell us about this day? How did you decide to go there, or what brought you to this festival?
Of course.
Would you let us?
Of course. So what happened was it was the last year for some of my friends in university. I had another year and I was going to stay in Beersheba, but a lot of my friends were moving away. They were going to move to somewhere else in Israel. And we wanted to do like something meaningful together, like go to a big festival or something per se. But none of us really had money to fly abroad to go to a big one. So we decided we were going to look for something in Israel. Then one of my friends sent in one of our WhatsApp groups a link to the Nova Festival. The prices were reasonable. We recognized some of the DJs, and we all bought tickets without thinking twice of it, completely unaware of the magnitude of that simple decision.
Okay, so you decided to go there. And what happened on October 7th to you?
So I'll start from a little bit farther
Please.
back. The day of October 6th, when you buy tickets to these kind of festivals, they don't give you the location. They like to give off this vibe of exclusivity, I guess, or something. And they tell you the party will start at midnight, and we'll send you a location a few hours before. So when we did buy the ticket, we had no idea where it was going to be. And then on October 6th, when we did finally get the location, we saw it was on the Gaza border. Now, that didn't really frighten us whatsoever. There's a lot of festivals that go on in that area. Everyone felt extremely safe everywhere in Israel. No one thought that something like that could happen. So it didn't seem like we were putting ourselves in any danger by going to this festival. So October 6th, I think, was 11 p.m. Two friends and I get in the car and we start driving towards the Nova Festival. And a lot of my friends canceled their tickets or decided they weren't going to come at the last second because the drive or I don't know, a bunch of petty bad reasons. So we on the way there, we're calling them and we're like, "Come on, guys, you should join us. It's going to be a great festival. We're going to have a good time." And we weren't able to convince even one of them. I feel like that was God's hand somehow doing something about it, like really taking care of it. And one of the things that we realized as we were driving was how close we are to the fence between Gaza and us. Yet, despite this distance, that the Gaza is only an hour drive from almost everywhere that all my friends live. They live such different lives, just totally different people, and they're just like right next to us. So we get to the Nova Festival. We find some of our friends. We open our tents and just having a good time. I hadn't seen my friends all summer long, and I was extremely excited for this festival. And finally, all my friends arrived. We were about, I think, 10 people. And we decided we're going to walk around and start exploring the festival. So we go to the main stage, we go to all of the venues in the middle, and then we go to one of the side stages. And one of the things that we realized that really stuck out was how beautiful everyone looked. Everyone had a smile on their face. Everyone was dressed their best. Everyone was radiating love, peace, and just generally happiness. For the first few hours, everything was perfect. And then came the rockets. It was about 6:30 a.m. I remember I went out to the car to get a change of clothing, and I came back in. I found my friend, and we knew that the sun was about to rise. Now, sunrise is the most magical moments at festivals. Everyone waits for it. I know people that go to sleep at 2 a.m. just so they can wake up for the sunrise and be like very, very energetic. So we start walking towards the stage, and then all of a sudden the music stops. And I look around and I see rockets going off all over the place. Now, you look and you see these rockets and you don't really feel frightened. And everyone's like no one really understands what was happening. Like, you see that they're coming from Gaza because you see smoke trails, but you don't know that like this is actually happening. It takes a few seconds to understand that Hamas broke the ceasefire and started attacking, especially on this day when you're at a festival that you were waiting for such a long time. So you're, in a way, you're also in disbelief. You're like, okay, this is a nightmare. This is not happening. Like, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be in my bed or something. But at the same time, you're pretty used to rockets. So we were just waiting for them to stop shooting and to go back to the music. But they didn't stop shooting. It just went on and on. So we go back to our tents and we're just sitting there waiting. And in some of the chaos that started to build up, one of my friends disappeared. We weren't sure where he was. So I call him, and he's like scared. He's I guess he wasn't used to this amount of people, this crowd that's so big, and all the panic. So I call him, I ask him where he is. He says, I have no idea. I tell him to describe what he sees. So he starts describing, and I start walking around and looking for him. It took me about 10, 15 minutes, but I finally located him. I grabbed him and I brought him back to the group. And still, we didn't feel like we were in any danger. We knew that there is a possibility that a piece of shrapnel will fall near us, and that's dangerous. But we didn't think that any of the rockets will hit. So we were just waiting there because we didn't want to drive not in the condition that we were. But then a security guard came up to us and told us, listen, guys, you have to leave now. No one can stay here. It's too dangerous. So we pack up our stuff and we start walking towards the car. 3 friends and I get into one of my friend's car and we start driving away. Now, everyone was trying to leave at the same time. And you know how Israelis are. It's chaos. It's very chaotic. So we got to a point where we're just standing and not moving. And I remember looking out the window and seeing missiles going off in the air and people running around. And some people were even laughing because in a way it was kind of funny. It was, it was an odd situation, but So, and then someone yells, there's an exit on the other side. So we turn around and we drive to the other side and we hit a car jam there and we can't really move. So we go off into the fields and drive around. Everyone get to the road and we start driving south towards Kibbutz Reim. Everyone was going north because they all had to go back to Tel Aviv. Now, at this time, there were already terrorists on the north part of this street of the road. And what created the car jam and all the chaos was that people were driving out, taking a left, going north, and then the terrorists were there shooting at them. But we took a right. We were going south, and we didn't even know that any of this was going on. So we're driving, and then the alarms start blaring. Now, in this type of area in southern Israel, when you hear alarms, especially on the Gaza border, you have anywhere between 15 to 30 seconds before a missile will blow up in the air from the Iron Dome, which protects you, or that it will land somewhere. Now, they teach you at school to stop on the side of the road and either lie down on the ground or run into a shelter. So there's concrete shelters all over the Gaza border just for situations like these. So we're driving and we start passing Kibbutz Reim and we hear the sirens. We pull over on the side of the road and we run into one of these shelters. Now, as we get in, there's already like 15 people inside. And these shelters, they're built for like 10 people to stand in them comfortably. Any more than that, you're already like squished. So we go in, and some of these people have been there for half an hour, 40 minutes. And we're having friendly conversations. You know, like, hey, where are you from? Yeah. I can't believe they ruined the festival. Where are you going after this? Do you know any parties around here? Anything? Because we really wanted to continue. Like, we were ready to be there at least till the afternoon. And as the time goes by, more and more people enter. Until at one point, Anel Shapira and Hirsch Goldberg Poland come in. Now, Anel, he was an off-duty soldier, and he had this leader vibe to him, like a commander. He walks in, and he had this stern, direct voice, and then he said, terrorists have invaded Israel, but there's no reason to fear. My guys are stationed half an hour away, and they're taking care of it. Now, at this point, what's going through my mind is, okay, so the Gaza border's right over here. There's a fence there. Probably terrorists broke through the fence, and now they're just there, and the military is taking care of it. There's a gunfire. Because this has never happened before. Terrorists invading Israel, there was no chance. It was impossible. I remember we used to joke about it as kids. Because what would happen was terrorists would invade Israel. There would be like 3-4 guys that would run in with guns, and like the Air Force would just bomb them the same second. And it was like, it was a joke. It was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just too easy. So no one thought that it was really a life-threatening situation. But I got this feeling in my gut that I need to grab my friends and run out of there that same second. But as the time goes by, I'm only thinking about it, and I'm not able to actually do the action itself or take it. And then a couple walks in, and they were panicking. They were scared. They tell us that terrorists shot at their car just a few minutes away. They had to turn around and come back. Their car's dead outside, and now they're terrorists just a few minutes away from us, and we're gonna have to wait for the authorities. And I'm sure that I'm in a nightmare. I'm telling myself there's no way that this is happening. Terrorists are right out here. They shot at their car. Where's the military? Where are the police? Where's anyone? Like, what's happening here? Israel's a very small country. If something happens, everyone hears about it, I don't know, 10 minutes after, maybe. And then we hear trucks pull up. Now, Anil was standing at the entrance. The entrance is built in a way where you have a hallway, and then you have to take a left into the safe area. There's no doors to close these safe areas because they're built for shrapnel. They're not panic rooms. It's not somewhere you go and someone's trying to kill you, because that never happens. And he tells us trucks have pulled up. Terrorists are coming out. They have bulletproof vests, AK-47s, and RPGs. This is it. We're going to have to fight. Now, he's saying this, and as he's saying it, he's picking up a fork off the ground to get ready to use it if he needs to.
A fork?
A fork, yeah. Later on, someone broke a beer bottle and gave it to him, but a fork. This guy was ready to fight with his teeth and nails if he needed to. Then the terrorists come closer. They open fire at the entrance. Now, there was an Arab Israeli with us, a Muslim man. He thought that by going out, he could reason with the terrorists. So he screamed or yelled, "I'm Muslim. I'm coming out. Don't shoot." He went outside, and after everything was over, we saw a video of him being beaten to death. They didn't even care that he was Muslim. The fact that he was living in Israel was enough for them to go ahead and do what they did. And then they opened fire at the entrance, and they threw a grenade in. And Anel was standing at the entrance. He just picks it up and throws it out. And then he tells us they started throwing grenades. If you see one, pick it up and throw it out, or point it out for someone to throw it out. And I'm in disbelief. Grenades, terrorists, what's happening here? And I remember looking around, and you see people, they're still kind of calm. Like, I remember there was a girl there, and she was trying to help people do exercises to calm themselves down, like breathing exercises. Now, there's terrorists outside that are throwing grenades and shooting. It's not really the right time to do breathing exercises. But still, I guess people, you do whatever you need to do. And they keep on throwing in grenades, and he keeps on throwing them out. So I pull out my phone, and I start calling the police. And they have no idea what's going on. They're like, "What do you mean?" They ask me, "What do you mean there's terrorists outside and they're shooting and throwing grenades at you?" They ask me, "Can you hide anywhere? Are you safe?" They had no idea. They were in total disbelief. They also didn't think it was possible. I assumed that the Hamas took out the cellular connection or whatever, and they just, I guess no one was able to talk to the police or something. And then there was an explosion at the entrance. Shrapnel hit my hand. My eardrums, both of them popped. I looked down at my phone and my screen's broken. I tried to hang up, and then I realized my screen was dead. So I dropped my phone, and that's when it really hit me. If I don't fight, I'm not going to walk out of there alive. Now, I'm standing next to Nair, and he's throwing out the grenades. And I think he threw out 7 or 8 grenades. Now, while he's doing this, what's going through my mind is, wow, this guy's a hero. He's doing something that no one has ever done before. He's picking up grenades and throwing them out. I've heard of people that jumped on grenades to save their friends, but to pick up grenades and throw them outside, this is crazy. And the question that a lot of people keep on asking me is, why did they throw in grenades? Why didn't they just walk in? They had rifles. Like, they could have just walked in with a gun and started shooting. And I assume the answer to that is that when they practice, because they did practice these kind of things, they knew that we would run away and we would go into these bomb shelters. So when they practice, they assumed that someone would have a weapon inside. And what they did in practice was throw in a grenade. And when we threw the grenade back out, we shocked them. They didn't know what to do. They thought that when they come in and attack civilians, they throw in a grenade, it goes off, they go in, and that's it.
Yeah.
But essentially what happened was they just didn't know what to do. And I hope they felt a little bit scared. So I'm thinking to myself also at this time, there's a chance he's not going to make it. And if he dies, someone's going to have to continue what he started. And I'm almost sure it's going to have to be me. And then a grenade goes off at the entrance. I go flying back. Someone lands on me, and everything goes dark. And when I'm able to open my eyes again, I look at the entrance. I see Hirsch Goldberg Poland sitting there with his hand blown clean off, a piece of bone sticking out. He wasn't scared. He wasn't panicking. With a very calm voice, as he was tying off his wound, he said, "I don't have a hand. I don't have a hand." Now, this is very common for someone that loses a limb. They're in shock. They don't really know how to react to it. And then someone said, "There's a dead guy over here." I look over at the entrance, and I see that it's Anel. I guess one of the grenades got him, and he gave his life to save ours. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, my body should have some kind of reaction to what it's seeing, to what it's going through. I was at a festival a few hours ago, and now I'm fighting for my life. I did not expect anything like that. Nothing in my life has ever prepared me for something like that. But I also know that I'm in the fight of my life, and if I don't stay focused, probably won't walk out of there alive. And then a grenade lands at my feet. So I don't know how. I don't think I'll be able to ever be able to do that again, but I was able to pick it up and throw it out. And I don't remember how I threw out all 3 grenades, but I do remember the first one and the last one. The last one, they opened fire at the entrance. One of them came very close, threw a grenade that bounced off the wall and landed deep in the crowd of people. And then they threw another one at my feet. So I pick it up, I throw it out, and I turn around and I start yelling, "Grenade, grenade!" Boom! I remember feeling this powerful force just like hit me in my chest or a little bit under my chest, just lift me off my feet, threw me against the wall. I bashed my head on the concrete and passed out. I was out at least for 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes. But when I was able to open my eyes just for a second, just to glance at the entrance to see if we're still in this fight or not, I see a terrorist walk in. He's pointing his gun at Hirsch, and he's smiling. And I didn't understand. I couldn't understand how someone would smile from such a horrible act. Hirsch lifts up his arms and starts getting up. I close my eyes and pass out again. And then a few moments pass, and I feel someone stand over me, grab me by my hair, and starts shaking me. I couldn't react. My body it wouldn't allow me to even move, not to open my eyes, not to move my arms, nothing. I felt like I was looking from above at me and at the terrorist and I, like I was in some kind of dream or something. And then he just released me. He turns around, takes out a few other guys, loads them onto trucks. So we later learned they took out 5 people, loaded them onto the trucks, came back in, stood at the entrance, and started screaming Allahu Akbar as they opened fire at my friends sitting there wounded and injured from the grenade. I was unconscious at the time. Thank God I was unconscious at the time. If I had to see those things, I don't even know how I would be able to live with myself. Now, my back was against the wall that was right next to the entrance. So all they had to do was turn in a 90-degree angle, and I wouldn't be here today. And after that, they left. Now, I opened my eyes for the first time, and I realized that I'm sitting in a pile of bodies. I didn't know that everyone was dead at the time, but as the time goes by, only a few people were showing signs of life. We couldn't move. We couldn't make any noise. We heard the terrorist outside screaming, shooting, and we were afraid for our lives. We didn't know what to do. We finally were able to, I don't want to say relax, but not be in a fight anymore, or at least the attack was over, and we survived, or at least some of us survived. Now, just to put everything into proportion, there were 29 people in that concrete shelter. Out of the 29 people, 5 were taken out and kidnapped to Gaza. 7 of us survived the attack, and another 17 lie dead in there. Now, to sit in a pile of bodies, the smell, it was horrible. There was blood everywhere. The walls were painted. It was the worst thing that I could imagine. That smell haunts me till this day. And we sat in there for 7 hours. Now, at the beginning, when we opened our eyes, we heard people that were badly injured. And we heard their last breath, and we couldn't do anything about it. We couldn't get up and go outside. We couldn't call for help. We were just sitting in there and waiting for someone to come and save us, because the only thing that was going through my mind was, the military knows what's going on. They're going to be here any second, and they're going to come and save us before anything bad can happen, because that's the way. That's what should have happened. But they didn't come. They didn't come on time at the attack. They didn't come on time after the attack to save people. They didn't do anything. They weren't even there. And after 7 hours of sitting in there and just trying to stay as calm as possible, and some of the people in there, their friends were kidnapped to Gaza. and they started panicking. So, you also have to make sure that you stay calm and other people in there stay calm. Because if they make any noise or get up and walk out and there's a terrorist outside, which we suspected that there were terrorists outside all the time, that's it. They're coming back in and you start up again with this whole attack and you don't know if you're going to survive this time. And after these 7 hours, we finally hear someone and he says, "Is there anyone in there? Is anyone still alive?" And I couldn't hear him. Both my eardrums popped. I was pretty much deaf. I look at my friend and I see her smiling like from ear to ear, the biggest smile I've seen in my life. And then I turn around and I see a civilian named Eyal. He came looking for his son, but he found us. Now, just like his son, or just like us, his son was also at the festival. And his son also ran away to a bomb shelter. But his son didn't make it. Terrorists got to his shelter also, and I assume did something similar to ours. So Eyal calls the reserve military, and they come, they pick us up, and we start driving towards Beersheba to Soroka Hospital. And I look out the windows and you just see burnt cars everywhere, like a lot of dead people. And we passed by a gas station. I remember seeing at least 100 soldiers, if not 150, maybe even 200. And I saw a few terrorists or a few Arabs tied up. And then we picked up some other girl that was also at the festival, and she was sitting there and she was missing a few fingers. And I still didn't realize exactly what happened. I thought, okay, maybe there were a few terrorists and they got them. Because even if there's 3 terrorists or 10 terrorists in Israel, everyone's going to go down to the Gaza border and look for them. The whole military, it doesn't matter. Then we get to the hospital, and I start walking around, and I see people walking in, and you see injured soldiers, injured policemen, injured civilians. And I remember walking in, I was wearing white shorts, a button-down shirt. My face was all scratched up. I had shrapnel in both my arms, my chest, my legs. I was bleeding from my ears, my eyes. And my white shorts were soaked in blood. So they weren't white whatsoever. And I remember walking in, and one of my friends is a nurse. And I saw her walking by, and I was so ashamed of what happened to me that I went to a festival and I was attacked by terrorists that I didn't even go up to her to say hello. I went to the side so she wouldn't see me in such a bad state. And I was in that hospital for about 6-7 hours before I was able to leave. Just to illustrate in what kind of state I was. I spoke to my parents. I told them that I'm okay, and there's no reason to worry. They said, "We'll come pick you up." I told them, no, don't come pick me up. I'll go home. I'll take a shower. I'll get my car and I'll drive home. And they're like, "No, we're coming to pick you up." I'm like, "No, I'm doing this." Like I lived out of home for a while now. It was a good at least 6-7 years. So it's like, no, you don't need to take care of me. Now, I lost my keys, my phone, my wallet, and everything else at the festival. In the bomb shelter, everything fell out, and so I had no way to get into my apartment. My friend gave me a ride to my apartment. She was with her mom. She was also at the festival. And they asked me, like, "Do you need anything else? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything's good." So I go into my apartment, and I was positive that I would be able to break into my apartment. So I try to get in through the window, and then I try to take a few bars off the window to jump through. And I'm just to remind you, I'm badly injured. Like I have shrapnel all over. I was bleeding. I looked terrible. And I tried to break into my apartment for about 45 minutes until I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to ask for help. I found a stranger in the middle of the street. There weren't that many of them. It took me a while. I called my mom and I told her, okay, come pick me up. And she sent my sister's boyfriend. He picked me up and they took care of me from that moment on. But out of the 29 people, we were 4 friends that went into that bomb shelter. And 2 of my very good friends, Shani Cooperwasser and Itai Banjo, were both murdered in there. And we didn't know at the time that they didn't survive. We thought maybe they were kidnapped or they ran away on time or something. But what happened was we got news that one of them was found. They found their body. And we went to the funeral and then we came back home. And a day after, we got a phone call about the other one. And I really think that if I would have gone through everything exactly the same way and they survived, I think I would have felt better with myself. Because it would have been a story about how we went into a bomb shelter, terrorists attacked us, and I was able to save my friends. But essentially the story actually is we went into a bomb shelter, terrorists started attacking us, and I was only able to save myself. And that haunts me. Yeah, tough story.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Eitan, for sharing this with us.
Of course.
Yes, and how did you, like, the days after all this happened, what did you do? Like, you have been with your family at this time, from this time on, right?
Yeah. So I straight ahead went home after the hospital. They were so overwhelmed that they couldn't really take they couldn't take good care of me. So the second that they saw that I was okay, that I wasn't badly injured and I wasn't going to die, they sent me home. The day after, I went to another hospital with my family, and I was there for another 4 hours. They took out pieces of metal out of my body from different places, and they sent me home. I went back to my parents' house for, I think, a week, just to relax, rest. And then I started leaving my house and going seeing friends and really trying to enjoy being alive. At the time, I felt amazing. I felt like I cheated death. And as the time went by, I didn't feel so good. So I felt like I needed to do something with myself. So only a short month after the Nova Festival, I started working as a software engineer. That was the job that I was looking for before the Nova Festival. I thought that by getting back to the life that I wanted on October 6th, before the festival, I could put this whole thing behind me and maybe even forget about it. But very quickly, I realized that it just wasn't fulfilling. And that I really needed to figure out what I'm going to do from now on and who I'm going to be. Because I just can't be the same person I was before. It's just impossible. No matter how hard I try and force myself to, it's just not natural anymore. I was changed. My life was forever changed. And now I felt like I needed to figure out who I was going to be in this new reality. And then I was approached by an Israeli TV channel. They make documentaries, and they wanted to make a documentary about the Nova. I didn't really want to do it at the beginning. I was very apprehensive.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to get out there. I didn't want people to see my face. I didn't want to be a Nova survivor from that moment on. And I was afraid that's what was going to happen. But something inside me told me to do it. I needed to do it. I needed to tell I needed to tell the world about what happened that day. I needed to tell them our story. Mm-hmm. And I needed to illustrate how evil Hamas is and how they're nothing close to freedom fighters. What they're doing is not guerrilla warfare. It's terrorism. That's what they care about. They will sacrifice their own people just to kill one civilian in Israel. And soldiers, they don't praise life, they praise death. And that's scary. Because if someone lives to die or does something because he wants to die in a certain way, and in the religion killing Jews is an amazing thing, so they have no problem dying straight after because they think that that's it, they're going to heaven. They kill one Jew and they go to heaven, or if they kill more, then that's better.
Yeah.
And I just needed to get it out there. I needed to tell people, I needed to tell the world about Anel and the person that picked up grenades and threw them out. And the beauty about Anel is that the things that he did at the time, it felt like it was impossible. But as I got to know him better, because after he was murdered, I met his parents, and
really?
Yeah, they're amazing people. And I realized, or I learned, that he came from an amazing family of great people. And then I realized why he acted in that way, and it hit me. That's just his way of life. And he was willing to give up his own life to save total strangers.
Wow.
Just because he had a deep-rooted love to his fellow man. And I needed to tell everyone about Hirsch and how even losing his hand, which is an extremely traumatic thing, he survived for a very long time in captivity. Now, people don't understand, but they're holding some of these hostages underground in these terror tunnels. The terror tunnel that Hirsch was murdered in was about 1.5 meters tall. Can you imagine what it's like to live in one of those places without getting any food, no clothing, no medicine, and not being able to stand up? The simple things of life that you just can't do. And they were holding them there because they thought, or they knew, that we would hold back if they have hostages. And they were correct, unfortunately. And we have to do everything to bring these guys home. All they did was go to a festival. They wanted to have a good time, or lived in their homes. and Israel failed as a state to protect their citizens. And I felt that I needed to really try and make a difference. I felt like I have a mission to fulfill. I have a purpose. And that purpose was to go around the world and to tell my story as much as possible to as many people as I could. And then everything started to work its way out. And I found myself in Canada on the 27th of November. And ever since, I've been going all over the place. I went from Canada to the US. I spoke in about five different states, just going all over the place. And I've been doing it for a while now. And the one thing that I really wanted to do was to get to Christians, because telling my story to Jews it's pretty much preaching to the preacher. It's just they're 100% with me on this. They believe in it, and they probably heard this story before. But to have the opportunity to share my experience with Christians, now that's special. That's something that I don't get to do every day. And we had the event yesterday, and this morning I was at a high school, and it's amazing.
Yes. So what did you expect coming to Germany? How would German people react to you?
Oh, that's a difficult one because I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't know what. And especially because it was the International Memory Day of the Holocaust.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have family that was in the Holocaust, and I didn't really know what to think about it, honestly. To think that something like that could happen here, it just sounds like a different reality because meeting Germans, you guys are so nice.
Thank you.
You really are. Your hospitality is amazing, and you've made me feel like I'm at home. And this has been a great experience so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Eva Erben is a Holocaust survivor. She was here with us, and she spoke to 1,000 of people.
People, yeah. 1,000 people. Yeah.
And she was saying that after October 7th, the Holocaust has a little brother. Would you agree?
I can't compare myself to a Holocaust survivor. What she went through was for a very long period. It was for a couple of years. The horrors that I went through essentially were only a couple hours, or it was half a day or a little bit more than that. But when you put it like that, in retrospect, the war isn't over and the trauma is still going on. It's not like that whole thing ended on the 7th of October and on the 8th of October I could continue on with my life. I was still in this kind of soul-searching time of my life. I can say that the people that survived the captivity of Hamas, they're very much the younger brothers of the Holocaust survivors. I may be a far relative, maybe.
Yes, do you realize how big the impact is you have speaking about your story in Germany? Is this something you're recognizing?
Yeah, of course. I was never good at speaking, not public speaking, that's for sure. I could never get in front of a crowd and talk. I always try to do it in Hebrew, but I've never tried in English. And ever since the 7th of October, I felt like, I don't know, maybe God blessed me with some power to be able and to come and share my story. And that's one of the things that helps me get up on the stage and just go for it. And sometimes I black out and I don't even remember what I said. But I always remember coming back to it and everyone standing up and clapping their hands. It's like, okay, it was good. I'm done. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
A question I do have, like, you decided to go back to Israel. You were just telling us that you will go back in 2 weeks or something, right?
Yeah, on the 10th of February.
Yes. How is it for you? What makes you to make the decision to go back to Israel, to live in Israel after everything happened? And yeah.
So at the end of your day, you finish whatever you're doing, you go back home, and that's it. You have your own space, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
For me, for the past few months, I've been finishing whatever I needed to do that same day, and then going back to someone else's house, and I hadn't really had a lot of privacy, so that is one of the reasons I'm very, very excited to go home, because I can finally just relax and rest and have my house and my bed. So I'll probably go home, crawl into my bed, and stay in there for like a week, and then get back to life. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there something you're afraid of?
I think I've been through hell. What's the worst that could happen? Like, I hope that that's the worst thing that I'm ever going to be through, that I'm going to go through. I will not be happy if I'm sleeping and a siren wakes me up, but that's part of our reality. And yeah, I've been used to it for a very long time now.
Yes. Are you still in touch with the friends you went to the festival who survived?
Yeah, we still speak. We meet up once in a while. Everyone's dealing with their own trauma in their own way. For me, one of the ways to deal with it was to come and do this and to talk about it and get my story out there as much as possible and be, I guess you could say, very vulnerable in front of a lot of strangers. And I've been getting really good feedback and good reactions, and it feels correct.
Yes. Okay, Eitan, what do you think what could we Germans do? What is our what can we do?
I think as a European state, as a European country, maybe you guys could lead the rest of Europe to understand that you don't have to stand against Israel, but you have to stand with Israel, because I've seen what's happening here. I've been following it for a couple of years, and terror attacks have been more and more frequent in Europe, and that's scary. In Israel, you can have a terror attack every other week. A terrorist decides that he's going to get up that day. Sometimes it's just a regular guy that has a job that he doesn't like, or that he even loves, and he may love his family. He might go to his mom, kiss her, say, have a good day, drive to any major city, pull out a kitchen knife, start screaming Allahu Akbar, and start stabbing people. And I feel like this could be Europe's fate as well. And it's not too late, but you do have to start taking action, because if not, it will be too late. And I'm afraid of that day. I'm scared. I'm scared that something like that will happen. And of course, the anti-Semitism is thriving in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's scary, because up till the 7th of October, it wasn't this bad. It wasn't as bad as it is now. But ever since the October 7th, it's in fashion to hate Jews and to hate Israel and to call us murderers and that we're doing genocide. It just doesn't make any sense. So I ask of every German to support us and to speak up and try to make a difference.
Yes. How could the support look like?
It could be anything.
Anything?
Anything. It could be a post on Instagram or on Twitter. It could be a poster of one of the hostages. It could be literally anything. Telling a friend, speaking to someone. If someone's saying horrible things, ask him if he really understands what he's saying, or he's just repeating something that he heard on social media. Did he fact check it? Is it real? Does he know that it's real? Because I get the feeling like a lot of people are just repeating what their friends say or what their heroes say on social media, and that's dangerous.
Yes, sure. So one question I had in my mind while you was telling what happened on October 7th is like, you, I guess you also have Muslim friends or people you know.
Yes.
And what do they say about Hamas?
So it's very divided. There are people that you think they're your friends, but all of a sudden they support Hamas. And that freaks me out sometimes when I realize that I was a friend of someone that supports a terror group that infiltrated Israel and raped women, murdered children and babies and civilians, and did it, and they were having pleasure. They enjoyed it. And posted videos online of it, and horrible things. But the ones that don't support them, I embrace them. I feel zero hatred to anyone for no reason. But it's really hard to understand or to know what someone's thinking on the inside. You really have to get to know someone. Now, the beauty about Israel is that everyone has an opinion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to repeat something that someone said, but in a room with 9 people, you have 12 opinions. And I think it's beautiful, but it's also sometimes it's a little bit annoying. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone thinks that everyone should hear it.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's also something that I love about Israel. Yeah. You know what the person that's sitting in front of you is actually thinking. He's not going to be afraid to hurt your feelings or to say something wrong, because no one can. The beauty about Israel is you're not allowed to get offended from anything. It's very toxic, but it's also very beautiful.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Eitan. We are very thankful to God that you are alive and that you are sharing what happened to you with us. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us. And is there anything on your heart you want to share for
Well, thank you for letting me be here and giving me this platform to get the story out there. And I think I just said everything that I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eitan.
Thank you.
Hey, Eitans Geschichte hat mich zutiefst bewegt. Es ist wichtiger denn je heutzutage, an der Seite Israels zu stehen. Teilt dieses Video gerne mit euren Freunden und euren Bekannten. Und ja, hey, bleibt mit uns in Kontakt. Reist Germany ist ein Arbeitszweig der ICEJ Deutschland für junge Leute und Jugendliche. Ladet uns gerne ein, folgt uns auf Instagram und bleibt einfach mit uns in Kontakt. Shalom.